At home decided to watch some TV, listening to the news by Gordon Mosley. I listening to the things that he say he tracking tonight, paying close attention to make sure I hear it right. But when I hear the things that he mentioned on the news, I had to declare them kind of thing got me confused. I hear some things where the ERC noticing, and it convinced me that people ain't learning nothing. We hear so many times about them big name calling, and they say ERC pretend that they didn't learn nothing. But once you're black and you just decide to say a word or two, bet your life on that they say ERC coming for you. Listen to the things you just hear on social media. Only one set of people allowed to talk in one Guyana. I still say nothing, black people in learning. But this is my concern. I hope one day black people will learn. ERC that I would like to know, if any of his members happens to be black people. And if that is the case, I want them to answer this call. Tell me how come none of them ain't got no voice at all. You're showing signs of weakness and you're afraid to be fair, and we see the same thing keep happening year after year. And the day will come when all this nonsense will stop. That will be the day when black people decide to wake up. Not so long ago, something terrible happened. This young Indian man want to kill out all black people by poison. But if his shoes was on the other foot, would have been a big threat. But up to this day, this ERC can do nothing as yet. How come it's only black people committing cybercrime? Get pretty on social media, busting people all the time. I still say black people in learning, but one day will come when the entire table will turn. Excuse me, see they fail to condemn, because these people think that the law is only for them. And anybody else who decide to file a complaint, they go call you a racist and don't want to hear nothing. Plenty complaint from time to time has been brought to their attention, but because of this one-sided cybercrime is why they don't show any concern. There's only one set of people that they really care about, and black people must take the abuse and shut them out. Kidaki Amsterdam went to court just recently for an issue that was highlighted by the same ERC. And with breakneck speed, the police decide to jump on his case. Without a search warrant, they went and search up the man's place. Let us all agree that black people under attack. Different laws for you and me just because we black. I still singing. Black people in London. To all my black friends, we must put a stop to all this nonsense. Cybercrime laws to keep people silent, just to make sure nobody criticizes government. And while that is a very clear case of dictatorship, it is no surprise that the ERC ignoring it. Why only the chosen few is allowed to have things their way, when people like me and you must have nothing to say? And when ministers in the government start to launch their attack, you never hear this ERC come out and talk about that. They send a policeman all the way to New York. This fella went up there to serve a cold someone on Rick Forward. Under this thing, this government decide to fabricate a case, but like they forget the warning they get from Black T-shirt jails. The vice president is prepared to use as a low life. Because of this kind of abuse, he don't have a wife. I still singing. Black people in learning. Just the other day, I hope your man see help is on the way.
All right, so today we are here at Club Twilight up in Buxton, and we are here to talk about all that's going on up here. Trust me, if you are on the East Coast, you're in Buxton, you're in Tongley, looking for a place to get away to, this is the place. The Cutters, mwah. Listen, I'll be having some just now again. We'll talk about that. And then, of course, the ambience is beautiful, fully air conditioned. The decor is on point. The music's on point. Everything's on point. It's just me. I need some work. But everything else that belongs to this club here is on point. So if you want to find a nice little place where you can just drive out of town and have some drinks, have some food, you can call, you can order your stuff and just take it. You don't have to stay. Or if you want to stay here, that's what's up. And of course, they have special events for Valentine's. You can rent a hall. You can rent a hall, honey. You can rent a hall for weddings, for birthday parties, to have a bash. I hope he edits that out. But you know, whatever it is, this is definitely the place to be. So it's on Sideline Dam. You definitely want to ensure that you check this place out. But it's on your to-do list. All right, on your to-do list. This is definitely the place to check out, you know, a really cool, chill spot here in Buxton. I like this. This is, Buxton needed this. We needed this. I needed this. You definitely needed too. Thank you. All right, so you might be wondering where we are, still in Buxton at Club Twilight. That's where we are. So Club Twilight also has like an Airbnb as well. So you could come, drink, drunk, and come in the back here and lie down. Look at that. Look at that. Perfection. And the people come in the room and so on. The bed sheet matching the blind, matching the carpet, matching the this, matching the that. We know but we things in Buxton don't play with we. So definitely, if you want to come and you may be having a wedding or whatever, and you just want to overnight and just have a good time because you're gonna be drunk. We got too much road accidents, so you definitely want to come drink, have a good time. They have several rooms that you can rent. You have your toilet, you have your bath, you have your sink, you have your dining area, you have the. This is nice. I like it. Anyways, to my friends and my family, if you're looking for me, I'll be overnighting. Also, for those persons who are traveling in from overseas, you want a nice, cozy place out of town, then Club Twilight, call them up, look them up on social media. They have their own Facebook page, and ensure that you come up the side and have a good time. Have a good time. Have a good time. Sorry, I'm sorry. That's it.
Don't be a victim. Beat the heat with EC crystals. Party ice in large and small quantities. Call 682-7981 or visit us at Club Twilight, Sideline Dam, Buxton North. EC crystals, pure party ice. Stop running around like headless chicken. Go to Ashton's Marketplace for whole and cut chicken, beef, pork, processed meats like bacon, beef franks, smoked ham, ground pork, calabresa, and lots more. Ashton's offers wholesale and retail. Check them out. Call 613-2332 or WhatsApp 434-327-3955. Ashton's Marketplace at 72 Rob Street, Border. Are you hosting an event? Do you need ice, party ice in large or small quantities? Then call us at 622-5933 for the best party ice available. $1,000 per bag. We do delivery. EC Crystals, Sideline Dam, Buxton North. Call to have your orders filled today. Planning a party? Worry no more. We have all the supplies you need. At EC Party Rentals, we have folding chairs, folding tables, square tables, round tables, long tables, short tables, big tables. We have chairs, red chairs, gold chairs, white chairs, crystal chairs, chairs of all type, throne chairs. What you want, we have. Food warmers, coolers, ice, beverages. At EC Party Rentals, we have what you need to have a good time. You plan the party, we do the work. Call us 622-5933. Easy Party Rentals. Let's keep your party going. Are you hosting an event? Do you need ice, party ice in large or small quantities? Then call us at 622-5933 for the best party ice available. $1,000 per bag. We do delivery. EC Crystals, Sideline Dam, Buxton North. Call to have your orders filled today. You can get meat anywhere, but for the best cuts of chicken, beef, pork, mutton, and lots more, check out T and W Harris Butcher Shop located in the East Ramvelt Market Meat section. Call us on 609-7168, 641-4494. Ask for Rastaman. T and W Harris Butcher Shop for the best in fresh cut meats and lots more. Hello, hi, good morning. Morning, neighbor, morning. How are you doing, neighbor? How are you doing? How was I last night and yesterday? And how are you feeling this morning? Have you rested and recuperated? Were you able to achieve those smart goals that you set? What's good in your neck of the woods? Is it raining there or is it bright sunshine? Talk to me. What a go? What a go? What a go? What a go? I know most of you, if not all of you, are holding your breaths right now and waiting to hear about the conclusion of that second autopsy on Adriana Young. We know that the corpse was taken to the US earlier in the week. We know that it traveled from Miami perhaps to Georgia. And we know that there is a team of pathologists there waiting to examine the corpse, examine the body of Adriana Young. And I too am anxiously awaiting their findings. Because in no way, shape, or form can the Guyana police force and the PPP and their handlers convince me that she died of accidental drowning. Note I said accidental drowning. Maybe they can say she died of drowning, but certainly couldn't be accidental. So I await the outcome of that second autopsy. But I'm asking myself, what happens at the conclusion of that second autopsy? What happens? If the second autopsy, which we expected to, I personally expected to, is at variance with the pronouncements that the friends, favorite, and family of the PPP have been making. What happens? How do we move from there to there? How do we reconcile the differences? Those are some questions in my head. I know that I said the utterances of the PPP's friends and family, and I didn't say at variance with the autopsy report from the pathologists who did that first post-mortem examination, because their report might be saying things that might be very similar or might be, well, not necessarily the same, similar and the same. Their findings might be the same or similar to those that this second group of pathologists will find. But the question is whether or not their findings have been communicated to the Guyanese people with honesty. I want you to take careful note, and I like to do these things so that we get to separate the sheep from the goat. I want you to take careful note that none of the pathologists from the first postmortem examination has uttered a single word on their findings. They have not said a thing about their findings. And that can suggest to me that they're smart and that they're not speaking on the matter, so they can always say, well, that is not what our report said. If they were to be brought before a court of law, or if they were to be brought before a licensing body,
I think they want to be able to say, we didn't say that. We didn't say that. It's the government that said that to the public. This is what our report contains. So, plausible deniability. The pathologists have not spoken on this issue. So what we are getting from the government all the time is second and third hand information. And so we have to ask ourselves whether that information that is being communicated to us second and third hand is accurate, is a true representation of what is written in the report from the pathologists. We don't know. You don't know, I don't know. So it's a guessing game. But I understand at the end of the postmortem, our good friend and hard-working journalist Travis Chase is supposed to be getting comments from these pathologists who are doing the current examination. Good. I would want to believe that if the parents were to turn to the court to compel the authorities to hand over a copy of the report, it might be very well possible. That might be very well possible. But why do we have to fight all these fights for simple things, things that are as simple as those? When people have to jump through hoops to get these little things sorted and clarified, then you ask yourself what kind of democracy you're living in, since they claim it's a democracy. It's frustrating living in this place. And every day you're coming to realize it more and more and more and more. Sometimes you just don't know how else to deal with Guyana, or the people that claim to manage the affairs of Guyanese. So it's 23 minutes to 8 o'clock hour. It's Thursday. We're supposed to have Mr. Winston Jordan on. And so I'll just call him up, give him lots of time, to the adequate time, I should say, to do the thing. Right? To talk to us about the economy and other matters of interest. Oh, before I do that, I know many of you are anxiously awaiting the report on court proceedings yesterday. Yes. The police presented a final witness yesterday. I see. Yeah. You know, looking back, I seriously don't know what the witness was called to do, except state his name, his rank, actions he took on that day when I was arrested. No technical information, blah, 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 nothing, all this. Maybe he was called to just say I was there. I was there. But at the end of the police presenting the final witness, like I suspected, counsel, Nigel Hughes, represented to the court that the police has not made out a case against me, and therefore there's no need for me to lead a defense. I think that was in a nutshell. And of course, the prosecution requested to respond to the submission of counsel Nigel Hughes, and the date for that is set for June 13th. Yeah, June 13th. And June 13th is Walter Rodney's death anniversary. Yeah. But on that date, I'm required to return to court. I hope for the conclusion of the matter. I simply hope for the conclusion of the matter. Let me see how that goes. This is Guyana. This is Guyana. Beautiful Guyana. Good. Let's see how that goes. So let me get Mr. Jordan on the line. I hope he's ready for me. Because usually, I don't think I usually call him this early, but let's go.
Hello.
Good morning to you, good sir.
Good morning to you, Kadaki. How do I find you today?
A mixed bag of frustration and optimism and everything, man. Systems ain't working in this country, so I ain't able to complain no more. I feel it.
I know that feeling, but I just got to come back to say thankful Thursday, and glad to be in the land of the living, so to speak. Unlike you, I have the opportunity of traveling, and so I've taken that opportunity, and I'm doing this podcast from New York at the moment. I was due to come anyhow well before they brought that trumped up charge to me in March. I already had my ticket since then to come around Memorial Day. I used to be a great fan of Memorial Day back in the past, up until 2014 was the last time. And we used to have a good time going to Atlanta. The school friend of mine. But since I abandoned Memorial Day after the hard times, so to speak. But the last time I've been in New York was last year for Labor Day, so to speak. And I'd also glad that I did seek to come around Memorial Day, because I have been experiencing some severe pain in my right knee. I was forced to go to Woodlands, I think was last week Monday or the Monday before, to get it x-rayed to see what is happening. And so I'm taking the opportunity also while I'm out here to see if I can see any kind of doctor, general or specialist, that can help relieve me of some of the pain. So if anybody here on this podcast listening is a doctor or knows of one who is willing to give some pro bono advice and examination, I will be only too willing. I don't have much time more because I'm scheduled to be back in Guyana on the weekend. So it will have to be today or tomorrow or so. Otherwise, that I'll have to go see my friend to see if he can provide me with some assistance. This morning I was betwixt and between as to whether I will do the program today or wait until I get back. I decided to do it for a couple of reasons. One is that I want to give you a bit of my travel experience. Coming out last week Sunday out of Guyana, to catch a flight that will leave around about 6 o'clock on a weekend, imagine. I had to play it safe and leave Guyana and leave my home 5 hours ahead because of the chaos on the East Bank Road that they have. You know, you can live two experiences and then you live them two again. I remembered back in the 90s, I think it was, when they were doing the road from around the Vera Torn there, up until, right up, I think, until somewhere around by Providence and so on. The chaos, the number of people who lost flights and so on. And we're back to that situation all over again in the name of progress. So I played it safe, notwithstanding the fact it was a weekend. I think it was Saturday. Was it Saturday or was it Sunday? Yeah, Saturday. Last week Saturday. And got there on time, well ahead on time. In fact, I had to wait for the check-in counter to open. I was hobbling quite badly on this one foot, with the other one being in pain. And a very bright, good-looking staff of the airport saw me hobbling and asked me whether I wanted a wheelchair. And I promptly told her no. I'm too young for a wheelchair. She looked at me and she smiled, as if to say, all right, don't say I didn't ask. But at that, exactly. But in that particular moment, pride won over pain. Pride won over pain, you know, I decided. But anyway, I didn't bother with the wheelchair. I didn't think I would wanted to see myself in wheelchair so early. So I endured the pain. Had a quick examination of passport and check-in. So that was your first. I want to bring this out because I saw Sinan Dorjan had an experience at the airport, which was both worrying and unbecoming. And it's in the context of that. Listen carefully what I want to say. So you had my first passport check, usual check that they will do for the check-in. They must see a passport and write down the information and whatnot. Then as I left there and took my bag to the scanner and so on, waited until they tell me it's okay, right? And then moved on to just before you enter the immigration area, there is somebody there now who have to check your passport again, which is familiar because that is nothing new. Then you enter the immigration area, and my first experience with the e-gates, right? Which quite pleasant, efficient experience. No problem, the gates are working and so on. But the problem I have is that the government doesn't seem to understand the nature and purpose of e-gates. The e-gates was supposed to facilitate smoother, efficient travel. And I've seen this before, where as they introduce technology, they maintain the same old paper-led system that you had, or whatever system that you had. In other words, then, technology is not replacing and making better the system. They are running parallel systems. So you have a computer system, and then you have a paper-driven system. You have a computer system, imagine you have a computer system where you can store things in the cloud. Paperless. But then you still have a law that says you have to keep 7 years of vouchers in these salt bags, and you have to go and get. I mean, I have had that experience as a minister. Well, as a minister, we had to go and see if you could get these containers, buy containers to store vouchers and so on. Even though you got computers and you got computer technology, where all of these matters can be scanned and stored in the cloud, but we run parallel systems. So back to the e-gates. Imagine the e-gates, it's supposed to facilitate smoother travel. When you go through those e-gates, you're not supposed to be seeing no immigration officer who pretends to be doing literally the same thing that you had before you had the e-gates. The e-gate is taking your passport information. It is scanning your face and everything else, even more than an immigration officer can do. So I thought those e-gates were like the e-gates I go through in other airports. No. As soon as you come out the second door of the e-gates, immigration is there, officer. So the very pleasant young lady, very, very pleasant. And she's an asset to the immigration department and the wider police force. She she recognized me and she said, "Hello, Mr. Jordan. Can I have your passport?" I gave her the passport and thing. And while she was going through it, perhaps looking for a page to stamp, to put the exit stamp, she asked me a very innocuous question. Are you still in Parliament? I found it quite innocuous uh, and so on. But I mulled the question and then I said, and I smiled and I said, not really, you know. I left that since August 2020. I'm leaving that to younger folks. That was my response. And she smiled and she stamped the passport. And instead of giving me back the passport, she said, just hold for me for a second. I just want to check with my supervisor to see if everything is all right. Well, I didn't say anything because I don't know what that meant really, to see if everything is all right and so on. And within half a minute or thereabout, she came back smiling and said, "Everything is okay, Mr. Jordan. Here's the passport, you can go." So I said to her, "What was that all about?" And she said to me something to the effect, it's not her exact words, but something to the effect, "Oh, well, you know, we we check we check members of parliament, we check members of parliament and other officials, um, something to that effect." And then her parting words, it is official immigration policy. Well, that struck me as, and it still has me, beaten as to where was this going and so on. Has me beaten as such. Because don't forget, these days, you have to enter your information prior to you reach the airport, or even at the airport, you're entering your information that you would have put on the thing. So at all times, immigration, police, and all these people got a whole set of information, whether from the manifest and all these things. So I found this thing about, from time to time you check in members of parliament. I ain't no member of parliament, and then slipping the word officials. And it had me a bit beaten as to whether they are profiling people at the airport, and not only people, in a sense, whether they are profiling people, opposition, or quote unquote enemies of the government, whether they're profiling these people and so on. I'm not saying let be very clear. The immigration people are absolutely fantastic. There was nothing. I'm just making a comment on the observation, and perhaps the immigration should come out and say clearly what exactly was the purpose of that little conversation and the response that the immigration officer gave to me. Because I'm saying that because a couple of days after when I arrived here, I read about the experience of Mr. Dojan and his family, right? And since he is not a government officer, he's not an MP and all this thing that the girl thing. What was the purpose of him going through all of that? And again, one could only make the connection that he's a liar for Muhammad of Muhammad, or singling him out for what you call special attention. So I think I'm raising it and putting it in the public domain so that people can be aware and they can put their experience if they had similar experiences. But the more fundamental one for me is, what exactly is the purpose of the e-gates if you still have immigration officers tracking and stamping and all these kinds of story, right? In fact, the e-gates will become a frustration and will have lines built up when you have 2-3 airlines going out, because there are only four e-gates there. As my memory serves me well, there are only 4 e-gates, So the government has to make up its mind whether it's prepared to go with the technology or whether it still believes that visible hand, that visible human hand, has to play a presence. All right, has to play a presence. Let them take instructions from other airports, well more well busier airports than Timeri, and see how e-gates work. There's nobody to once you go through those e-gates in other airports, there's nobody there waiting for you to take your passport, stamp your passport. You move to the next layer or level of the government department, whether it's the scanning part or the customs part or whatever the case may be. They gotta make up the mind what really they want. They gotta make up their mind. And if they're looking for people who are courting, can't travel and so on, I'm sure that is an easy thing from the time they see the manifest. They can just single, they done already single out those persons and so on. But why are you seeming to do what you might think is in what the girl said was official immigration policy, right? Now, I don't work at immigration. I don't know anything about the immigration and so on, but I wish the immigration people would clarify what is this official immigration policy as it relates to members of parliament or maybe ex-members of parliament or maybe other officials, quote unquote officials, you know. And perhaps while we are here, the government may explain how do they deal with people who are using the VIP lounge. Because I say that because when I was a minister, I didn't initially use the VIP lounge. Why? Because I always presented myself to the check-in area, then went to the immigration and did my thing, then go through the scanner. And I used to go to the executive lounge because I had traveling first class, you get or business class, you get a thing from Premier Airlines to use the executive lounge and so on. So for a good year and a half or so or two, I was doing that. And then I started using the VIP lounge, which, you know, to be quite honest, I much prefer using the executive because there's better things than the VIP lounge there. And that in any case, the use of the VIP lounge was a hassle. Every time you want to use the VIP lounge, you have to write a letter to Ministry of Foreign Affairs, regardless of whether you're a minister or not. You have to write a letter to Ministry of Foreign Affairs to get permission. So I tried to avoid all of that by just going to the executive lounge. But there was a time also going through the VIP lounge when the scanner wasn't working and so on. So the point I'm making is, what's the sense of putting through people the rigors, those who are not using the VIP lounge, putting through the rigors of the scanner downstairs, the body scanner, which is the entire body, and seeing everything, and And then after you come out to this scanner that's seeing everything, you still have somebody out there with another scanner, plus going through your body, poking your body after you're going to go through this body scanner. These things are very irritating, to be quite honest. Unless they say, well, it's our work, I don't see. I travel widely all over the place, widely. And nobody is thinking you more than United States. If United States got a reason after you go through the scanner to do a secondary or whatever they call scanning by way of physical body search, they do. But I don't see them doing it to everybody who go through a full body scan and then come out to that and then got to go through that again. But that seems to be what happens at Timeri. If the scanner ain't working, then just search me first. Rather than having me go through the scanner, full body scan, and after come out the scan, you still got this thing, this handheld thing running up and down, and then you got somebody poking the hand all over you, poking your hand on your neck, your chest, your leg, and you know, all other parts that your mother ain't see since you're born. You know, it's kind of demeaning, so to speak. What I'm saying is that it can't be that everybody who goes through that full body scan, they see something that they gotta go through with everybody. You know. But anyway. But for the rest, it was okay. Landing in New York, oh, I mean, 11 o'clock in the night, 11 something in the night. Wow. JFK is just a real massive, busy airport. If you see the line, big. But again, it's not like some of them banks where you have facilities for, say, 14 or 15 tellers, and then only 3 working and 4 working. Every wicket at the JFK was working, and working with a great deal of efficiency, because they got to get rid of hundreds. They have to deal with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, thousands maybe, of people as flights, more and more flights coming in, and so. And contrary to all the talk and so on, I witnessed for that hour that I spent in that line waiting for my turn. Quite high degree of efficiency of those people. They ask a spot question or two. They seem to know who they need to ask more from and so on. But that was a quite pleasant experience, as I have always had with entering United States. Memorial Day, I was happy to be back. I went to a backyard Memorial Day barbecue with some ex-police and some other folks. And I'm saying, I think I want to open a Jordan smokehouse. I know they got Scotties there. I went there, and well, I'm not going to make my comments public about what I think about the facility. It's a nice area that he has there, but there are a couple of things. You need to go to places like Texas and those places to find out what is a smokehouse and how it goes. But I'm saying this because the person who does that barbecue there, because I've been there before. I've been there Labor Day. The after Labor Day barbecue was kept right there also last year, August. And I've been there, and must have been the same person. That barbecue is to die for. And I would love to employ her. And she's Guyanese. She's Guyanese. In fact, the whole everybody in there was Guyanese in the diaspora. Love to employ her at Jordan Smokehouse. Coming soon. It sounds familiar, right? You remember Portugal coming soon. So Jordan Smokehouse is coming soon. If I could get this girl to come and do my barbecue. Wonderful barbecue. Magnificent ribs. Great atmosphere. Great atmosphere. 70s, 80s music. Oh my goodness. Brought back so many memories. And it's the kind of clearing of the air, the taking off of the pressure that one needs, getting out of Guyana, coming away from that pressure. Guyana is like a pressure cooker. Guyana is an unhappy place. Other people are on the happiness index. Guyana is on the suicide index, and so on. Guyana is among the top 5 countries for suicide rates, right? Whereas Trinidad and Jamaica are among the top countries for happiness. Guyana got great potential, but that's all it has, great potential. All other things is just stress and stress and stress. So our then you've got to go and clear the air, de-stress, to come back afterwards and stress again, hoping that your blood vessels don't burst. New York itself, maybe and the white America, it's not the same. You could sense a change in the air. One thing I could say is that the prices are horrendous. The sale is only by name now. It's not genuine sales that, and I'm speaking this from a person who has been visiting the United States since 1982. I made my first trip to the United States in November of 1982 when I went to Washington for a week. And then I spent another 2 weeks in New York after that course had finished. And since then, I've been traveling consistently, regularly, extensively to the United States. And it's for the first time I could say New York ain't cheap. Our favorite places like Walmart and Burlington and so on, Target and so on, they aren't cheap anymore. And the tariffs imposed by the Trump administration seem to be creating much of a havoc on these prices. Really, in fact, I read somewhere, I think it's on Yahoo News, where for the month of was it March or April, the government treasury has taken in a whopping $92 billion as a result of tariff imposition. $92 billion. At an average of $92 billion, that will make 1.08 trillion United States dollars in a year that is being taken out of the economy, that is putting pressure on demand, consumer demand, and so on. Right? So the prices aren't very nice, and it's for the first time my couple dollars that I was able to get and bring can't stretch as far as I would like it to be. And so I'll spare a thought for those who live here and have to manage on very slender budgets and still make do because other prices are going up. Rent has gone up, and the bills just keep going up. And the tariffs now is adding to those bills. So I commiserate our diaspora people who, notwithstanding all of this pressure, still think about Guyana, that is supposed to be oil rich and fastest growing, but yet still depends heavily on remittances for survival. It's a paradox, but it's one that can be solved. It's one that can be solved. It's whether we back home willing to do what it takes to get that paradox solved. And okay, so I was in a line at Burlington that snaked all over the place, notwithstanding, just to cash 2 items. And I decided not to go. And I did the ultimate. And so forgive me all those who are observing the ban on Target. Forgive me, I was forced to go to Target. I wasn't able to stand up with this hobbling leg of mine in that huge line, long line. And so I went to Target and got the 2 items. And there was no line in Target. And so I was in and out in a jiffy. But as I looked around, the bulk of the people employed at Target are Afro-Americans. And so it bothered me that on the one hand, the boycott is probably biting, probably. But on the other hand, the impact it will have on those, the employment of those people, and whether sooner than later Target may not be forced to close stores and retrench people. In fact, while I was out here, I read where so many stores are closing, Forever 21 and all the popular stores, Big Lots, and so on. All these stores are closing, most, if not all, of their branches and so on. And that can have a tremendous impact on employment, because at a lot of these stores, you have a lot of Black and brown people who work at them. And it must have an impact on individual and household income. But we just got to hope in the Caribbean that, notwithstanding all of that, together with the proposed bill to charge a fee on remittances coming to the Caribbean and other places, that we can continue to count on our diaspora folks for whatever assistance they may be willing to give us to help us survive in Guyana. Because until we can change what is happening in Guyana, until we can make money circulate where it should be circulated, which is among the poor, so the poor, the employed poor, and so on, we will still have that scenario where heavy dependence will be on the diaspora for the support in the form of remittances, where the cash, barrels, and other things. And also, of course, investments, whether it be in the minibus trade, retail trade, housing, whatever. So that is my musings based on my travels so far. I noticed Suriname, quickly by way of passing, I noticed Suriname has completed their elections quite uneventful. And that if all goes well, that they should be having a new president, first woman president in Suriname. If it happens, I say kudos to them, and so on. What I like about this Suriname electoral mechanism that they use is that it's almost guaranteed that a coalition has to happen. Because number one, to elect the president, it requires 2/3. That's great. There are 51 seats in the House, so 2/3 is 34. 34. So that's great. So to get to that thought, it will be very difficult to get a single party in Sonam to get 34 seats, based on the tribal nature of the politics there also, as in Guyana. It's perhaps worse in Guyana than over there, because that tribalism there is spread out among maybe 8 to 10 parties, whereas in Guyana it's about two the key parties that account for maybe 90+% of the votes cast. And so it's almost inevitable for one of those to be governing, even if by the slim majority that the present one is governing, and the slim majority that the coalition had governed with, and so on. So the experiment in Suriname, it's good because there's a feeling of inclusion at 34 out of 51 that involves about 6 different parties. There's a feeling of inclusion, right? But because of the nature of the politics also over there is going to be a feeling of exclusion because the VHP party is a predominantly Indian party. The VHP party of Santoki is a predominantly Indian party. And with the 17 seats that it got, it must feel some fair degree of exclusion from the cabinet and from the government. So notwithstanding the fact that the coalition in Suriname is a broad-based coalition in terms of the number of parties that have been included in the coalition, I don't believe that the party that represents the broad mass Indians in Suriname is part of that coalition, and hence they will feel that Indians will feel that they're excluded, and I'm not sure how that will develop. But their politics seem to be a bit more mature than ours, and I'm sure they have systems in place, particularly the constitutional and legal systems in place, that should anything go awry, that they can invoke those, you know. Now, people may say, well, we have in Guyana constitutional and legal systems. We have them on paper. We have them on paper. That's all. We have them on paper. If our systems work, we will never have had a 12th parliament of the kind that we have today. Never. But that is what it has. And we will never believe that somebody who is governing 34 out of 33 out of 65 believes that 33 is equal to 100% or 110% or whatever the case may be. I saw in today's paper reading that Sanders gone again with that thing about Guyana have one of the most advanced constitutions in the Caribbean. Yeah, if what was in the constitution was being adhered to letter and spirit, we would have been saying yes. Yes. When you say Norway and all these places that advance constitutions, they do. And the constitutions work. And they could depend on the constitution to help them and so on. It is no sense saying we got one of the most advanced constitution, which is on paper. And yet we can't get our rights and so on inherent in that constitution to be invoked and to be applied to both the spirit fearlessly and everything else. Yeah, so I saw him come up with that story again about we have been one of the most advanced. But what has that done for us lately? What has that done for us lately? Look how many laws we have put on the books. Look how many laws we have put there. And what has happened to those laws? All we do is keep putting more and more laws. More and more laws. Look at the oil spill law. Imagine you have an oil spill law of that caliber and magnitude that you're refusing to send to a select committee for the widest and broadest possible consultation. Refusing. Imagine you have a motion on something as sacred, sacrosanct as our border, and you doing it, you refusing even the simple courtesy of bringing on board the opposition or the widest cross section of the country to craft such a motion and to ensure its unanimity in the public. We must have looked like a disgrace to the world in which we debating a motion that doesn't have the support of a wide cross section of the country. What has support is that our borders are inviolable. But the motion didn't have. And when I was out here and I looked at it and I shake my head and I said, no, man, no. This thing is going across the world. Can the government at least, what would it cost the government, even at that late stage, even during the lunch break, to get the whips together and to go through the motion quickly, clause by clause, and agree to some amendments in the spirit of compromise, bring them back on the floor, and get the support of 65 out of 65 people. What is this in the government's DNA that dislikes and disdains those who are not on their side of the floor to the detriment of the wider national unity of the country? And to all those who feel that regardless of whatever is done to the opposition, they're bound to support, I say, really? Really? They're bound to support? The opposition got constituents that they got to report to. And if you ask the constituents, they will tell you enough is enough. How many times you are going to turn the cheek? You still have a cheek after you've been lashing it all the time? Do you still have cheeks? A simple matter that should not be any, should not bring any rancor or anything. And since 2023, you had the same thing. You had the support of the opposition because they were involved. What is wrong? What is wrong? So I believe a lot of these things are deliberate, and they are born out of something that says that Guyana belongs to only a certain set of people. Guyana belongs to only a certain set. Power in Guyana belongs to only a certain set of people. And even where you're not even sharing the power, you don't even want to involve people. You got the ultimate say, imagine. You got the ultimate say, but you don't even make a little thing about involving people just for face saving or just for window dressing. Just because you got them African Guyanese African descent in the party, right? Window dressing. There's nothing else about window dressing. We all know that. It was said also the same thing about the coalition and the Indians in the coalition. They said it was window dressing. It's not something that is going to be taken out of the heads of many people, right? Because they genuinely feel that they don't have the power of their erstwhile friends of the other persuasion, of the other ethnic persuasion. So that's not going to come out. But Guyana's composition of a multiracial society ain't going to change. Maybe the mix in there is going to change, but the whole concept of the mix of multiracial society is not going to change. And I don't know that this government is doing anybody any favors by suggesting or giving the impression of some level of superiority of one ethnic group over the rest, or some level of superiority of one political party over the rest, and so on. By the way, as an aside, and I'm not going to be saying nothing more, I see a lot of pictures about who in crossing and who in crossing and all this kind of story. I leaving that to the politicians. My view is very extremely cynical. And sometimes I make it public, my cynical views. And if you remember any cynical view I've made in public about this crossing and so on, it remains. It remains. So I don't know, putting picture of Daniel Seram and his class. The one thing I would say, no, and I said it in the case of Gita Chandan, is this. Nobody is stopping you or anybody else from associating with whoever you want. That's your right. But in the case of Gita Chandan and in the case of Daniel Seram and all the others, do it while you're not part of the outfit that you're presently associating with and which you are saying you have lost confidence in. How could you lose confidence in the political outfit and still remain in the outfit? Mr. Daniel Seram, do the right thing and resign your position as regional chairman. And I said this to Ms. Gita Chandan, do the right thing and resign your position as member of parliament. You have lost confidence, you have lost faith in the party that put you there. Why will you want to switch while you still holding on to the party that you lost confidence in? Why? And in Mr. Daniel Seram's case, it ain't gonna cost you anything because the parliament will be shut down soon. And you're not a member of parliament anyhow. So go your way in peace. Nobody's stopping you from going. In fact, some people say you went from day one. And I had my problems with you from day one also when you were refusing to make representations of Region 4 as it relates to the budget for Region 4. Me don't make me story plain. Me want friends. I ain't got too many. But I do not want people to believe I say one thing in front of the face and another. No, I am saying plain. If you don't want to be friend, no problem. At 67, going into 68, why do I need to pile on more friends? But this is the thing I cannot understand with these people who call themselves politicians or who thing. You come here, you had faith in the party make you who you be, because in many cases, you tell me how somebody who just come in the party could make general secretary of that party, one of the most exalted positions in any political party. You really think the PPP will take such a person and make them general secretary of the PPP? But Norton experimented with that, and I think in all his political science and all his things and so on, it's a blunder that he made. I don't care. It was a blunder, and I told him so. A blunder. Everybody knows, check the general secretaries of the PNC, you will see. These were hardcore PNC people, long-serving, people who grassroots people who could go into communities, people who could walk like if they were, the biblical Jesus and so on, into these communities. Why would you make such a person general secretary who couldn't communicate with the thing? And in Daniel Seram case, same story. Same story. These experiments, if you want to experiment with them, they must come from hardcore people. Hardcore supporters who, by dint of their hard work and through the years, would have said, yes, they're ready for such a position. So you can't vex with the hardcore supporters of the PNC when they look at these things and they say, what's the sense of them being here? These people just come, you plug them into there. They haven't shown any faithfulness. They haven't shown by dint of hard work through the years, perspiration, sufferings, and so on. that they're for the party, with the party through thick and thin and so on. They just come and you give them exalted positions. And like I said, I ain't looking for friends. So don't come for me. I ain't in anybody's party, including the PNC. So I could speak my mind happily and clearly. I know they want to speak their minds, but they are afraid that they're going to be called racist and they got to look for Indian votes and all this kind of story. Poppycock. When the other side wants to talk about us, they don't look and say, well, afraid because I'm looking for black votes and so on. And this kind of mentality from the black folks, from the Indian folks and so on, has had a debilitating impact on Guyanese of African descent. Because it's like the damn they do and damn they don't. They work hard for the party. If the party wants something, they will look mostly to the African support. The base is predominantly African. And yet they sacrifice their base to show that they are multiracial, and all these kinds of story. When they know in reality, there ain't no multiracial party in Guyana. None. There are ethnic parties with a sprinkling of other races. But get it clear, both parties, their base is predominantly of one ethnic. And unlike the PPP, the PNC doesn't seem to think that is a reality. And they have to overtly support that base and strengthen it. Because it's by what your works you do that perhaps others may be attracted to your party. And if people only come in because they can't get positions in the PPP, or they can be a little fish in a big ocean if they go to the PPP, so they come into the PNC with this knowledge that, well, they're gonna have to treat me well, otherwise it's gonna show as if they don't like Indians, or and so on. That has played a lot, too much and too long. Too much and too long. And the party strategists them need to sit down and make their assessment about where this thing has carried us. Where it has carried us. I made a post a day or two ago, and I said, listen, I like the Suriname model. Let all we tribal parties go there and vote. We know we tribal. Don't give us no foolishness about thing and so on. We know we tribal. 90-something% of the votes can come from the tribe. And when we're done, let us have an arrangement like in Suriname, where you have to get some 60% or 65% or 2/3. So the tribes got to come at the table, the negotiating table, and negotiate a governance structure where everybody will feel included. The present one, in working, will not work. And that is why we have this kind of competition where we must get our tribal party to win, because if we don't, then we lose, and we lose 100%. And that has happened over the last 5 years. It has happened. And God forbid, if the PPP wins again, you will see them in their strata. All this talk about, we're growing fast and we're growing this and so on. I wishing for the day when we could have these ethnic impact studies. Tell me, but you issue 10,000 gold scholarships. It's 10,000 gold, and 5,000 went to Guyanese African descent. Gold scholarships. And what you're doing? Equating scholarships to income, land ownership, land rights. The second African a decade of people of African descent, what it is that you're doing, all of these different things. As an Guyanese of African descent, I feel marginalized. And I'm an educated person who served over 40 years, but I still feel marginalized compared to some of the things I see happening in Guyana. Some of the just come lately, I see, and what they have been able to accumulate. And don't give me no thing, it was the old-fashioned way and all this kind of story. Some of the people are here in the land, some of the lands in Guyana that I heard that have been already appropriated. The strategic thing about building roads in areas where the lands have already been appropriated or the lands have been identified to be appropriated by a certain set of people. I was disgusted when I learned who owned lands along the Heroes Highway. And this is continuing throughout the country. And they lull you into some false sense of security. Oh, we give 10,000 gold scholarships and 5,000 went to African Guyanese. 5,000 went to African Guyanese. Where are they? And you're still talking about high unemployment in Guyana. Where these 5,000 have they graduated? Where's the trace of study to say where have they been employed? Where? And everybody knows, apart from the Amerindians, the only other group of people who never asked to be brought to this country called Guyana was African. And yet, when we were brought, we were made to suffer like beasts of burden, work to the bone for free. For free. And people want to say, oh, well, that was in the past, and this and that. Oh, isn't the past that is defining the present and the future? You want to wipe away the fact that it's African Guyanese who work as beasts of burden for hundreds of years as slaves to build this country, but yet today they own virtually nothing in the country that they built. Yes, they virtually own nothing. Don't point to me to couple house here and a house lot there. House lot is not house. And everybody knows large numbers of house lots all over the country, whether Indian or African or what, lying there because the people don't have the income, whether individual or household, to get even a $5 million to build a one-bedroom house. And like I said last week, you could raise the limit how much you want and lower the interest rate how much you want. All that will mean nothing to people whose incomes are static or are declining in real terms. It means nothing to them. And when you pump money in the way you pump money into the economy, that raises the liquidity level.
Welcome. Why? Hey. Chronics, left and right. Just soldiers are come, left and right. Hey. Ooh, yeah. Boy. And them say, here comes trouble, here comes the danger, sent by the Savior, welcome the Rasta youths. I start recruit, soldiers for Selassie army. Ay. Here comes trouble, here comes the danger, welcome the Savior, welcome the Rasta youths. You're not for axes who at the general issue in a warning. Job people them a ball, said them tired of mediocre. Evil a go fall when we tried in Ethiopia. Believing from down, cause them life no easy boat. Even Bantan said it's not an easy road. Operation occupy the motherland, calling all soldiers to kind each other along. From creation, He writing a job plan, but chronics can't do it alone. So I'm recruiting soldiers coming from near and far. I choose executing. Still I see I works and the Rastafari true. And them say, here comes trouble, here comes the danger. Sent by the Savior, welcome the Rasta youths. I'm on a start recruit soldiers for Selassie army. Aye. Here comes trouble, here comes the danger. Welcome the Savior, welcome the Rasta youths. You're not for axes who are the general issue in a warning boy. Waving the banner red, green and gold. It is such a honor prophecies unfold. Discovered on stones, on trees and scroll. And even in the stories that Jesus told. Rasta youth must inherit the earth. Can't sit down, that I send me for work. Bring the fire in a room, that I send me for purge. But I can't do it alone. Rasta recruiting soldiers coming from near and far. I choose executing. Still I see I works and be Rastafari choose. Here comes trouble, here comes the danger. Sent by the Savior, welcome the Rasta youth. I start recruit soldiers for Selassie army. Hey, here comes trouble, here comes the danger. Welcome the Savior, welcome the Rasta youth. You're not for axes who are the general issue in a warning. Hey, left or right, the soldiers are gone. Left, right, the soldiers are gone. I could I never throw it down, no boy. Yeah, I will say left, right, the soldiers are coming. Left, right, the soldiers are coming. Left, right, marching on, boy. I me say, here comes trouble, my friend, and here comes danger. Rastafari send me come. I said we sent by the Savior. Here comes trouble, my friend. Here comes danger, bobo. Ooh, no. Hey, and them say, here comes trouble. Here comes the danger. Here comes trouble. Hey.
That was Chronic. See you. Here comes trouble. Here comes the danger. Hey. You know, some people, when they see this face, they say, oh God, here comes trouble. Morning, all your morning. Welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. I am your host, Kidaki Amsterdam. Welcome to the program. This morning, we're simulcasting to TikTok. Morning, talkers. How y'all been? How y'all doing? What's new? What's going on? Big up yourself and go on Friday to the item. See you, Rastafari. All the scripts. Big up yourself and go on. Nice scripts. We got to salute the scripts. You got to remember, hey, scripts are citizens too. Scripts are Guyanese too. Scripts, in many instances, are victims of circumstances, and we can't allow the system to victimize them twice. And so from the victimized already from birth, in many instances, from the victimized already, we just have to ensure that, as I would say, we do right by them. So big up yourself. If you're script, respect you. A lot of people seem to have a negative connotation of a script. A lot of people believe that scripts are unambitious. They want things the easy way. They're not prepared to make sacrifices and so on. But I dare to disagree with them. I dare to disagree with them because I know quite a number of youths, quite a number of people who are considered scripts or who have labeled themselves scripts. But they go there every day, all day, and they try to make an effort to come out from the trenches, as we like to say, to move from the bottom of the social ladder. But it's as if society doesn't give them a chance sometimes, It's as if society doesn't give them a chance. Look, let me say this to you. I don't condone crime and criminal activities. But as a human being, as I like to say, a social scientist, I like to look, I like to analyze. And sometimes when you look at the people who get caught up in crime and criminal activities, you have no other conclusion than to say the system forced them there. Sometimes we force people in directions they don't want to go to, unwittingly, and sometimes knowingly. And sometimes when I look at what's happening in our Guyanese society, I say, the authorities, a lot of people in power, a lot of people sitting in the seat of power, a lot of bigwigs, as we like to say, they had to make decisions knowingly or unknowingly to force people in poverty and crime. I cannot forget, I will not forget the scores of young people who are currently in the jails of this country in remand because they dare to come out and protest what they viewed as an injustice being done to a fellow citizen, Adriana Young and the family of Adriana Young. They dare to come out and protest and say, this is unfair, this is not right, we want justice to this young child. And so the system, in its bullish manner, thought it best to arrest all of them and dump them in the prisons on remand. What will they leave the prisons with? They're not going to leave the prisons with diploma and degrees to change their lives for the better. They're going to leave the prisons with scars, labels. Ooh, there's an old jail man, he got to jail because when they were protesting for justice for Adriana, he was caught in a situation either protesting or looting. Looting is always a spin-off of protests. Look around the world, wherever you have major protests, you have looting. Right? And so getting caught in the moment, sometimes the adrenaline rush of seeing others looting and decide, hey, I can loot too. That doesn't make you a career criminal. You're guilty of exercising poor judgment, but it definitely doesn't make you a terrorist, as this Guyanese government charged all of those young people with terrorism. Even if they beat those charges, which I expect they will, there's a blemish on their record. How do they pick up the pieces from there? Right? How do they pick up the pieces from there? And then they return to society and they find it difficult to blend in, let me call it that. Get back to regular programming. Be accepted in the society. And so they're forced in a corner of further oppression, further discrimination. They're paying for one crime for the rest of their life. What do we expect a lot of people to do then? That's the question, right? So a lot of our people a lot of young people who we want to call scrapes and all of that, the system victimizes them. It's Free Talk Friday. Right? It's Free Talk Friday. And we have a lot to talk about. There's no question about that. A whole lot we have to talk about. We definitely have to talk about the second autopsy done on the body of young Adriana Young. We have to talk about Azzuddin Mohammed being placed before the court on tax evasion charges. Right? Those are two items I would say at the top of the list. Those are the buzz this morning. And so, I don't run from the buzz. I like to talk about the buzz. Right? And so we're going to talk about those things right now. Well, it's Friday, like I say. And I feel like digging some music. But positive vibes that carry the same message that I want to share with you this morning. And so here is Bojo Banton. Bojo Banton says
Have you ever seen the magic glasses that can...
Circumstances make me what I am. I wasn't born a violent man, but circumstances make me what I am. Good? And so this is Buju for you, the Gargamel. Run the track.
Is there any remorse within your heart for those people you've dealt in the past? Those who came across your path, their life they've lost. Sure. And you replied, say, circumstances made me what I am. Was I born a violent man? Circumstances made me what I am. Everyone should understand. Circumstances made me what I am. Was I born a violent man? Circumstances made me what I am. Everyone should know. May sound strange, might sound foolish, but things ain't getting better. Every day another fall victim to the beretta. Why is there so much violence killing we one another? Let us learn to love and let that light shine brighter. Bad influence you influence the youth and get slaughtered. As bad man used to be, they respect the father. It's like no eyes don't realize the times get harder. Me talk all night with all my mind and still is laughter. Circumstances made me what I am. Was I born a violent man? Circumstances made me what I am. And everyone should know. Him say, when I try to cope, tell myself there is hope. It seems like the biggest joke. And as I put down the gun, still the lads must run. I know employment can't come. And me a jam and a cool. One go back in a school. The system lick me. There's no hope for those who have not from the slum. Take the little much we have, still hunting we down. I'm begging to show some love. When we get back, he replied, circumstances made me what I am. Was I born a violent man? Circumstances made me what I am. And everyone should know. Well, I know little cry, mama cry, papa cry too. She want the boy with a heart and that could do. You know them find him dead with a Smith and Wesson. 6 weeks and change now. Me a remiss. Why so much violence? Too much violence. It hurts my soul and I won't keep silent. Circumstances made me what I am. That was his reply. I cry. Circumstances made me what I am. Everyone should know. May sound strange, might look foolish, but things ain't getting better. Every day another fall victim to the beretta. Why is there so much violence killing me one another? Let us learn to love and let that light shine brighter. Bad influence you influence the youth them get slaughtered. As bad man used to be, them respect the father. It's like no eyes don't realize the times get harder. I thought all night with all my might and still is laughter. Circumstances made me what I am. Was I born a violent man? Circumstances made me what I am. And everyone should know now. And when I try to cope, tell myself there is hope. It seems like the biggest joke. And as I put down the gun, collateral must run. I know employment can't come. And me a think about cool. One go back in a school. The system lick me. There's no hope for those who are.
Hey, honey, 7 to 7. Good morning.
Much we have, still
Welcome to the
until
talk.
we done. Only we show some love. Only we get back some now. Circumstances
Good
made
myself,
me
you know.
what
Just
I
in the
am.
regular,
Was
just
I born a violent man?
man.
Circumstances made me what I am. Every man should know. Oh, circumstances made me what I am. Was I
Thank you. And so right now we're talking, I want us to talk about Guyana, oh beautiful Guyana. Lots of things unfolding in Guyana. But the buzz that has been the buzz for the past 6 weeks, I think we're going on 6 weeks since that little girl, Adriana Young, was abducted and murdered at the W Hotel. She has had, of course, autopsy, which report has not been released by the pathologists, but we've heard the government and representatives of the government talking about what they claim is contained in the pathologist report. Of course, that has been contentious. Guyanese are not believing what the representatives of the government as saying about the contents of that pathologist report, which you have not seen. But yesterday there was the second pathologist investigation, postmortem as we call it, the second postmortem done in the state of Georgia in the United States of America by one who I'm learning is very, very reputable as a pathologist. And we had the fortune of hearing her speak directly to some of the outstanding questions on the minds of Guyanese. Big up yourself, Travis Chase, Guyana #1 journalist. I rate you. And so Travis was able to get the pathologist to walk him through some of the things. Whether or not there was any sign of violence on the body of Adriana Young. The answer was clearly no. She said she didn't see any evidence of violence. So we can put that to rest. Right? There was no evidence of violence. Did she drown? Yeah, very important question. Because the first postmortem, according to the government, says that she drowned. And this second one, that the pathologist has described as quality control pathology investigation, as far as I remember, she said, I would find it difficult to say that this young lady drowned. I will find it difficult to say that this young lady drowned. In short, I have not concluded that Adriana drowned. And so immediately we are at odds with two pathologist reports. The one that we citizens of this country feel to our hearts has been compromised, or certainly the reporting on it is not accurate. And so we're saying this second pathologist is saying, I can't conclude that she drowned, because drowning is a diagnosis of what she call it, elimination. You have to eliminate all the other possible causes of death before you can really comfortably say that the individual drowned. And from where she stood, she has not had enough evidence, I dare say, to conclude that the victim drowned. Good. In our conclusion, she wants to see, for example, the toxicology report. The toxicology report will inform her of some other things. She wants to see the toxicology report. But most importantly, among the things she has seen, she has concluded, or from the things she has seen, she has concluded that there needs to be an extensive criminal investigation into the death of Adriana Young. And if that is not telling, if that is not eye-opening for the Guyanese government first and foremost, and the citizens of this country, then I dare say that we are comatose as a nation. We are comatose as a nation. This professional has no dog in the race, let me call it that. She has no interest in Guyana's politics. It wouldn't benefit her in any way to present findings that can be supported by the science. And so I quite frankly would take her observations or conclusions over any other, because here she stood by her findings. The previous postmortem, the pathologists that conducted the previous postmortem, not one of them, not a single one of them, has placed their voice behind the findings of that postmortem investigation. And so one guy needs to be woke. I want people to be woke. I want people to really and truly examine, not through ethnic eyes or through the eyes of allegiance to this political party and that political person, I want you to examine the findings through the eyes of what are acceptable processes. And you draw your own conclusion. And so right now I want to endorse the call. There needs to be an extensive criminal investigation into the death of Adriana Young. But again, is the government of Ghana likely to ensure that such an extensive criminal investigation takes place? For where I'm sitting, it's highly unlikely. Because first and foremost, they have gone against the will of the citizens, the will of the parents, who have been calling for an international organization of repute, like the FBI, like the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, like Scotland Yard, to come and carry out that extensive criminal investigation. They've gone against that. And they've hired a retiree from the RCMP and brought him. And in short order, the man came and he left. There are rumors as to why he left. But yet we are hearing from the government that here, this man concluded that there was no evidence to support foul play. Good. The demand has to be made, and the demand has to be continuously made for that extensive criminal investigation into the murder, the abduction and murder of this child. In an effort to circumvent that, the Ghana Police Force issued recently a statement to say, we have the final report on the first post-mortem, and it says there is no evidence of foul play. And she did drown. Again, I'm pointing out, there is a contradiction there, because the second post-mortem, the pathologist says, I'd be hard-pressed. I've got a serious problem to pronounce that this child drowned. You be the judge, citizens. You be the judge. Political isms and schisms. When you have a government that cannot or chooses not to come clean to its citizens, you're not living in a democracy. And you have serious issues, you have serious problems on your hand. There's a way to get rid of those problems. Elections in Ghana have been announced to take place on the 1st of September, 2025. You, the citizens, have it in your hands to vote this authoritarian government out, to vote this dictatorial government out. But you have bigger responsibilities than that, or just as important responsibilities. You have to ensure, you have to demand that the elections are free, fair, and credible. You have to ensure that safeguards are in place to protect your votes. The oppositions have been calling for what? Biometrics, to ensure there is no multiple voting and there is no imposter voting. The government has refused so far to endorse the call for biometrics, despite the fact when they were in opposition, they were calling for biometrics. The Electoral Commission so far has resisted because it's dominated by people with allegiance to the government. And so citizens have to stand firm and make that demand if they're going to ensure that the votes are protected. And we can, through a legally democratic process of an election, remove a government that has become a bugbear in this nation, a government that doesn't serve the interests of this nation. But who we changing them with? Everybody's asking the question. Is who we going to vote for? There are lots of people throwing their hats into the ring. For example, Azruddin Mohammed. Azruddin Mohammed says, well, he has announced, I am going to run for the leadership of this country. I want to govern Ghana. I want to be the president of Ghana. But this presidential hopeful was before the courts yesterday, charged with tax evasion. Charged with tax evasion. So if a man who is not in government is accused by no lesser person, no greater person than the United States of America, we always argue that they got a receipts when they're making statements of evading taxes in this nation to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars. What makes us think that if he were to become president, our resources are not going to be plundered when he's protected by a constitution that says president can't be locked up, president can't be charged, president can't be jailed? Are you listening to me? If I'm outside of the seat of power, and as alleged, I've been robbing this nation of so much money, what is to say when I sit in the seat of power, I will do any differently? Knowing that my protection from prosecution is greater than when I was an ordinary citizen. What is to stop him? I have no doubt. I have no quarrel. I believe in my mind that Guyana might need some new political blood, yes. But are we saying that there is such a paucity? There's such a shortage of people who can be upstanding citizens, people who can follow the law, people who can be law-abiding citizens, that we have to ultimately put our hopes and aspiration for good governance in a man who has been accused internationally of robbing the coffers of this nation? Are we serious? A lot of people are out there saying, listen to this. A lot of people are out there saying, the PPP is afraid of Azruddin Mohammed. This is why they lock him up. This is why they charge him and so on and so forth. And because the PPP is vindictive and wicked to lock the man up and so on, we are going to put our support behind him. We're going to stand with him. Because he has, in the words of some people, stood with us. Let us examine Azruddin standing with anyone in this nation. A lot of the people who are saying that are young people. Let me remind myself that they're young people. So they really don't understand the history of this country. Maybe they are not aware of the history of this country. But the Mohammeds have always been strong and staunch supporters of the PPP in government. Even when the PPP was out of government, the Mohammeds have always been strong supporters of the PPP. We heard recent comments from the senior Mohammed. In his frustrations with his friends, let me say that in his frustrations with his friends, the PPP, targeting his family and targeting his son and so on, some harsh things were said. Among the harsh things said was, when Donna McKinnon, and I want you all to understand this, Donald McKinnon was in the streets of Georgetown protesting with people in the opposition, protesting with citizens for the rights of citizens. And she was murdered just on that empty lot east of Freedom House, the lot just before Freedom House. She was shot and murdered from the confines of Freedom House. Some say it's on the back stairs, some say it's on the side window, some say it's on the roof. But the fact is she was shot by somebody in the confines of Freedom House. Murdered. To date, there has been no justice to Donna McKinnon. But you know what was revealed in this fight between the Mohammeds and the PPP? That there were 3 guns in Freedom House on that day. There were 3 guns in Freedom House on that day, and 1 belonged to the Mohammeds. One belongs to the Mohammeds. And so one can argue, and historically the Mohammeds have been complicit in the oppression of Guyanese. They have been complicit by providing sustenance to the PPP, whether in government or whether out of government. Who is to say to me? Who is to say to me that the gun that murdered Donna McKinnon, who was standing up for the rights of Guyanese, was not a gun that belonged to the Mohammeds? And so are we saying that right-thinking Guyanese must possibly throw their support behind someone who was possibly murdered those who are willing to stand up, one of those who were willing to stand up for the rights of citizens? I want people to understand that Azruddin or the Mohammeds in court yesterday cannot be equated with Kidaki Amsterdam in court a day or 2 before. It cannot be equated with Takumo Ogonse in court a week or 2 prior. Because Kidaki Amsterdam and Takumo Ogonse were arrested and locked up and placed before the court, fighting for the rights of Guyanese. They weren't locked up for robbing or allegedly robbing the coffers of Ghana. They were locked up for standing, if you want to say, in the gap for Guyanese when it comes to confronting this wicked and vindictive government, a government that up until recently was getting sustenance from the Mohammeds. And y'all running out there talking about y'all going to vote for Mohammed because the PPP lock him up. So what happened to me? Y'all ain't going to vote for the political party that I am a part of, or the electoral slate that I am part of, because I've been out there fighting for y'all and I get locked up. What happened to Takumo Ogonse? So you're saying, wait, the sacrifices of African Guyanese in this struggle to free Guyana from the grasp of this wicked and vindictive and corrupt criminal cabal known as the PPP are less valuable than a multi-millionaire, a multi-billionaire, whatever you want to call it, who gets locked up for allegedly evading tax. Y'all dumb or deaf? Or you're not only poor financially, but you're mentally poor. We can't reason this thing out. Y'all don't tell me what philanthropic work. The man is good, man. The man get a single parent a car. The man get a single parent a house. The man get a single. If that man had used this clout with the PPP to say to them, y'all got to do right by Guyanese, then nobody had to depend on him for anything. If that man had used his influence within the PPP to say, if finally is Muslim brothers, I'm saying to you, you got a responsibility to take care of the poor and downtrodden. You have a responsibility to lift people out of poverty. You got access to the resources. He didn't have to become philanthropic. I want to ask this question. Is this philanthropy of, can I say, conscience or convenience? When Pablo Escobar was being hounded by the American government, and the Colombian government was made to partake in that hunting for Pablo Escobar, what did he do? What did he do? He became more than philanthropic. He buy football team. He pay all the debts to citizens. He buy entire communities. He built stadium. All kinds of things Pablo Escobar did with ill-gotten wealth in the name of philanthropy. Why? Because by doing this to the poor and downtrodden, he expected them, like they eventually did, to see him as their source of survival. And if he is their source of survival, then they have to protect their source of survival by any means necessary. And so he could come in more than broad daylight, and nobody would see, nobody would know, nobody would hear, nobody would speak. Because here what happened. If we talk says, the man commit a murder, and the authorities get him, we ain't got nothing else to get. Aren't we falling into similar traps here in this country? Well, let me continue to tell you or analyze Azudin. Somebody asked if I getting into Azudin and the PPP fight. No, I'm not getting into Azudin and the PPP fight. I am educating the citizens of this country, especially them who look like me, to not fall for another three-card trick, which will keep us in oppression and keep us suppressed, looking for a leader that's going to take us out of our troubles. I'm tired of placing me bet on somebody else. I am tired of placing my bet on somebody else. Place your bet on yourself. Place your bet on your people. And hold them accountable. Hold them accountable. Here the $1 million question that was asked of Azudin yesterday. If coming out of the election, first thing, the question is, why man don't contest the election? We want to see a slate, what your slate look like. Oh, you're going to see that eventually. We got people from all over, from AFC, from PNC, from PPP. We got people from all over. So I wonder if this is another marriage of the, what's the word, discontented. Is this another marriage of discontents? People got a problem with PPP because they didn't get a position that they wanted. Azudin definitely got a problem with the PPP because they're hounding him down. People coming out of the PNC or AFC, PNC, AFC, APNU because they get presidential candidacy and so on. People who got to follow with the PPP because they didn't get the L block that they were promised. Is this the new party that Azudin has formed or is forming? Because he said, yeah, we got people. We got people from all over. He named them. At least some of the organizations they will come from. But as sure as night will turn today, we got to see the list. The list got to come out so we're going to see who is who. So is that a party of discontents or a party of the house expecting to be buffered by the have-nots? There's a list. Who are the members of this party? But here is $1 million, the multi-billion-dollar question. If after elections, there's a minority government, and you hold the balance of power, where you throw your support? Where you throw your support? Will you throw your support with the PNC or APNU? Let me ask, are you showing your support with the opposition or will you show your support with the government? I will put my support in the interest of the nation, something to that extent. I'm paraphrasing here. I will put my support in the interest of, so long as my support is going to ensure would be in the interest of the nation, I put it there. So I ain't saying I'm going to put it with PNC or the opposition, whoever it is. I ain't saying I'm going to put it with PPP. I'm going to put it where it serves the best interest of the nation. I want to tell you all this. Charandas put his support when he was in the coalition government in the best interest of the nation, in the best interest of the Indian nation. So you can't convince me that Azudin is not going to put his support in the best interest of the Indian nation. A man is just a man. Whether he walk barefoot or driving limousine. An Indian is just an Indian. Whether he's a multi-billionaire or he's a flat-foot hustler. But they say snakes don't lose their stripes or something like that. They could lose their skin, but not necessarily their stripes. Are we looking for another BK? I never left the PPP. I was always a PPP. I just was riding the jackasses over in the coalition. Are you waiting for another such moment? I never stopped being Indian. I was always Indian. I just had a falling out with a few of them who held the strings of power. And in order to be recognized that, in order to be comfortable, I recognize that I might as well go after power. And the people who can put me into power. Listen, man, y'all get some discipline. Why y'all calling the line, man? If you're listening to the program, you know it's not the time to call the line. Don't just wake up and feel you want to call Mr. Amsterdam. Don't do it. You're breaking my train of thoughts, man. Yeah. So if I'm going to save myself from the clutches of all those who are hounding me down, maybe political power is the way to be, because the president is immune from prosecution. The president of Ghana is immune from prosecution. So why not be the president of Ghana and protect myself from prosecution? And the people who can get me into the seat of the president of Ghana are the downtrodden, are the scrapes, are the people who have no interest in really lifting out of poverty, are the people who are hopeful that the day will come when they're going to get a blight from me, because they recognize that I've been giving out a few blights. And so they're lining up to be the better house slave or the better enabler to see when their time will come around for blight. But brothers and sisters, don't just look for blight. Look the gift horse in the mouth. They say don't look the gift horse in the mouth. I tell y'all, look the gift horse in the mouth. Push your hand down in the belly of the beast and come up back and see what you're going to find. Chanda's campaign with the coalition and criticize the PPP, cause Jaggi and everybody else. Daniel Siram did the same thing. Amnali did the same thing. Gita Chandan did the same thing. And the list goes on. But hey, when push comes to shove, and choices have to be made, I think you saw what were the preferred choices of most of those people, or all of those people that I mentioned. Right? I feel like playing Bob Marley, because I want to say this to y'all, and I want y'all to hear it from one of the prophets according to them. Bob Marley said, could you be loved and be loved? Don't let them fool you.
If it's actions that speak louder than...
Even try to school you now. Y'all remember that? Listen to Brother Bob. Listen to Brother Bob, man. Hey, talkers, big up yourself. I hope you all enjoying the discussion. I'm looking to see where I can open up the boxes so you can join me. Somebody tell me what to look for, man. I see on my screen there's hosts, and then there are guests. Is it one of those things I can open up to get you to join me?
Don't let them fool you.
Talk to me.
Or even try to school you. Oh no.
Good morning to you. How are you? Welcome to my life. Welcome to my life. So what would you like to share with us this morning? What would you like to share with us this morning? Okay, sweetheart. Have a good day. Blessings for a successful day at work. You're welcome. So baby's going out to work. I'm telling them baby says she's going out to work.
And you may stumble too. Why you point your fingers at someone else is judging you? Could you be love? Could you be love? Could you be love? Could you be love?
Don't let them change ya. Or even rearrange ya.
Message to you, sexy. Howdy. What a smile that is. You just light up the room, man.
Got a life to live.
Naturally.
They say
So what's happening?
only.
What kind of work you do? I see that blue uniform. Are you into medicine? What you say?
Stay alive.
You do?
You belong.
Oh, you're at the toll booth. Got you. You stop people from moving without pay. So, I assume you are in the US? You are in Florida. Are you originally from the US? Oh, Jamaica. Big up Jamaica. Land below. Well, I'm GT to the bone, you know. Guyanese, born and bred. Yes. I am in Guyana. I'm from Buxtonian. Yes, Buxtonian. So on my program, my channel is called. Pardon?
That's a stadium.
Where?
It's just a background behind it.
Oh, it's just a background. I would love to own a stadium someday. All right, so I'm hosting on Facebook and YouTube and simulcasting. Basically, I'm also hosting on TikTok here, right? Good. So as is customary, it is 8 hours 27. It is 8 hours 27 in Guyana. It's the 30th of May, and the lines are now opened up for us to have free talk. It's Free Talk Friday. So those of you who want to make a contribution, feel free to call in 6225933 and let's talk the talk. What do you think about the second pathologist report on the death, murder of Adriana Young? Caller, why are you calling me half naked, man?
Mr. Amsterdam, sorry for that. Good morning.
It's why you put on no clothes, Bano.
I'm about to take a shower. I'm heading to GT.
All right.
And I'll see you when I get there. I don't know if you remember me.
Not naked.
The last time when I was there, I stopped by. We had some pictures together.
With clothes on.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll be heading into GT later today, and you'll see me when I get there. So take care, and I'll see you.
Okay, buddy. I'll see you when you get here.
Yes.
Baby says she's going to work, sexy. So get a woman an easy chance, an easy time. Get a woman an easy time. Yes, Yulinod, what's wrong with Kedaki flirting? Yeah, so the lines remain open 6225933 is the number to call. Let's talk the thing. We're talking about that. Corleon, good morning. Corleon.
Yes, good morning to you. Happy Friday to all my black brothers and sisters in Guyana. This is Flash, the only one left in the world, Flash Garden. You know, it's a reason why I pray and ask God to bless me with the spirit. Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we are hearing you, Flash.
Yes, okay. It's a reason why Flash Garden asks God for the spirit of remembrance. Because I would be able to remember things that I would not make the same mistake tomorrow. On your program, I could remember this. But first, let me say this here. My grandmother teach me never.
Okay, Thomas, I gotta leave you now. So have a great day. Be good to yourselves, and I'll see you over the weekend. Much love.
Hello?
Flash Gordon, we're listening to you.
Yes, my grandmother teach me never cut the hand that feed you, and never cut the bridge where you cross, because you never know. On the program, I could remember that you interview one young Guyanese man, boy. He was blessed with a scholarship to go to America, to the university. You tell him that the same university David Hines went to. You said, Mr. David, the same university. What I mentioned is this here. Donald Trump now is targeting the same university. Why? Because a lot of blacks going there and foreigners going there, and he want to cut out that education from foreigners and especially the black people. When you ask that young man, if you have more years like child that you said yes this morning, plus Garden White, I remember that. When you ask that young man, you said, so when you finish studying in America, would you return back and share some of your knowledge in your country? He said no. And he began to make excuse. When he came off the line, I objected. I said, I wonder if the parents listening for telling him, I stop that. Don't forget the teachers who started foundation education. Don't forget your family and all them, and the country that where you're born. And you see today, email might be on the list, maybe, to return back home to the same country he denied. It is time for black people to pull themselves together. We all are one family, and we have to stick together. Colored people will never do nothing good for black people to live above them or side of them. You don't have to go to college for learn that. It's nothing wrong for love them, but do not love them for being to abuse you. My grandmother teach me, don't mention this word in my house. My Eastern brother and sister said, no, call friend, because if there was a brother and sister, they would never kill us like that and punish us. One more thing before we go. Many people start to destroy business before some of black people born. In Bonham time, them destroy business, them loot and do all that kind of thing. With business, them people destroy Flash Garden, cane field. Whenever Bundong came, that is a business. Because we always buy sugar, it's business. Guyana just export sugar from cane, it's business. So them is the one start everything. And my grandma tell me, when I'm come together and share little girl and she pay my parents, black man teach them every single thing them could learn today and still continue to cheat them. Then that colleague got to fight fire, black man got to fight fire with fire. Thank you very much for your time. Happy weekend to all my black brothers and sisters in Guyana.
Thank you for your call. The lines remain open 6225933 is in. Thank you for your call. The lines remain open 6225933 is the number to call. You tune to the Guyanese Morning Time. I am your host, Kiraki Amsterdam. Right, and it's Free Talk Friday. Don't forget, earlier in the week, I mentioned to you guys that in the interest of improving quality, especially when we go outside to do outside broadcast, live and so on and so forth, I hired a cameraman and a technician, and I want y'all to help me pay them. Right? Thank you, Dory. Dory committed $500, which she has already provided to us, and we are still waiting for the other commitments. I said this expense is likely to run for about 4 months into the elections, and so I'm asking you guys, we still need at least 3 other persons, or at least 3 other months of payment to be provided, right? So wait till y'all don't forget, y'all not don't like this beggy thing, this asking thing. But you know, if you actually go sitting and work for lay, call you on.
Yeah, good morning to everyone. Now, Kadaki, yesterday we saw the mighty in the courts about these cars that they said they didn't pay the license, whatever duty, whatever. Now, remember, they had a big story with BM suits when 000 was the mitigator, somebody in between Rickford Burke and the owner of BM suits. When they ended up, eventually people go to collect Rickford because they claim that Rickford was ripping off the people in Guyana. BM Suit is a subsidiary of who? Now, yesterday at the court, well, I was in town, but I would never go to the court with an individual like that. He is now saying he wants to be the leader of this country. Remember years gone back, and I think we are back there being blacklisted. When ExxonMobil was doing business with them, US warned ExxonMobil to relinquish all their business assets from the same person. Well, if they were to become president, well, sanctioned, they've already been sanctioned by the US. What will happen for the US now to complete a wrong sanction on all the people in Guyana? I want the black people in this country listen with this day in this week when a black man get up and say he will vote openly for Mohammed, and he was urging all the other black people, not me, to vote for Mohammed. What has Mohammed done for black people? It was after the story with Leon Bascom, the my arm thing. Then Mohammed start to reach across the ethnic divide in this country and start throwing a few breadcrumbs around to black people. Look the other day, when the celebrity made herself a bullet blocker, throwing off Shalace to stand up for Mohammed. Mohammed didn't say, you know what, this woman in problem, and look what she do. Let her pass wrong a minute. Without people would criticize Aubrey Norton. Don't matter if he got it and spend a minute, half a minute. Once he sees something to do with somebody being like in problems. Look, Melly Mel with the cussy up. He's went there. All wrong, the leader of the opposition would go and let his presence be felt or seen. Now, and people stand up when you listen to a man who is on your show day to day, could have openly said, Kadaki, I felt it. You're up on Kadaki's show. You're talking, you put Kadaki in problem. Kadaki get locked up. When you tell them certain views must not be made, they would still openly come and express their views, putting you in the harm's way. Enough of them, Kadaki, and care if you vex. Don't say out to, our air Kadaki forgot to court. Let go and stand up around the court with you. For like come down and see that a come young gang, you mightn't have financial strength, but your presence does be felt when you could go and stand with fighters for the black people in this country. Moving along. I ain't saying not long. Now with this, I don't care. I still have confidence in those former pathologists. Because if you listen in the week, Mark Rubio, Nara by, because not concussion. If you didn't know about Nara, Concussion don't give you belly work. Narrow does give it. So narrow by. Narrow by when he sit down, I'm quite certain that those people who came here, the earlier pathologists, had to give an account to the higher echelons of the United States, which they have done. And their behavior is making the United States look stink. And I quite certain the top people call them in for fitness. And you hear Rubio say, in this week, a lot of them visas will be pulled from police and from a lot of them. So let me wait to see where this is going. So let them enjoy all what they want to do. Now, lastly, early in the week, a commenter spoke about cameras being placed all over Guyana. But the commenter lives in the United States of America, where there is camera all over. And the commenting talking about the camera is a two-way thing because it could be leaking your business and people got more leaking business. Because this Alexis or Allegra thing, I was at a good friend and the thing calling said, "What is it you got in your house, girl?" She says Alexis or everything does call it. It was reporting to her in Guyana that somebody in Brooklyn got a package from where, the address and everything. Now, if the got a car tag to she because the people will give it from America, what it is doing. So don't jump up and talk about cameras that are being placed in Guyana to help to protect us one way and mind our business the other way. Because you in America live under more camera than camera itself. And y'all getting sophisticated camera. We getting them the days thing. We all have got to live with it because this is the way forward now in the developing world. Bye-bye. Technology.
Very call one now. Sometimes I don't know what fight one let us be picking, honestly. Sometimes she baffles me. But the person who spoke about camera, I can't remember the conversation truly. But this person who must have raised the issue of cameras being placed in Guyana, I am sure would be raising it in the context of privacy. You see, the developed world, if we can call it that first world, whatever you want to call it, they have a lot of cameras all over the place. But they also have rules and regulations and conditions under which those cameras operate. It's not every time the Caribbean John could access the feed of those cameras, for example, and mind your business. And as much as there are those cameras, to get certain information about people from those cameras, you have to get a federal warrant and stuff like that. I ain't too afraid with the American legal system, but right? Those who live in the US and pay attention to this could fully educate us about this. But in GT, where they're putting up all of these cameras, anytime the Caribbean John could access the information, especially when they're friends of the PPP. Sheriff Security Services got at least one vehicle that drives around this country. At least I see it in Region 4. With a 360-degree camera on it. And on that vehicle, stay 40 feet away. Let me take his call. Orion, good morning.
Hi, good morning to you, Mr. Gaddafi. Good morning to the listener. As a neutral caller, with Mr. Mohammed running for president, I think we run away from the wrong precedent or picture. Everyone is tired of old politics. You put the PPP, AFC, they went in. Why they come out? Because people tired of them. People was telling them what to do, and nobody have concern. Even to the the person was under Granger, I don't want to call him. He has no apologies to the people that when he don't do what you have to do raise salary and these things. So people prefer to give somebody else a chance and new mind to move the country forward. And I agree with it. And listening to him and he's saying that he will have all parts of person from all party, that's a win-win for everybody. They will have shared governance. I'm not telling you to leave your party to be with him, but at least do not think what the country could do for you, but what you can do for the country. At least you could liaison with him and give your ideas. And this is what we need. And person now we running for presidency will know that these guys, we Guyanese, we fed up with it, and we're not for that anymore. If you do stupidness, we give somebody else a try. And that's the only way our country will go forward. This is not about black and East Indian. This is about getting rid of old politics, old politicians, and let this country move forward. And that's my contribution.
Call it don't hang up yet. I want to get with you a little bit.
Go ahead.
Now, you interpret Azudin's statement as he's going to have people from all parties as a government of national unity. Is that what I heard you say?
Yeah, well, I'm saying that because I was rooting for that.
All right, let me explain what that statement
if he run for president, he should rely on other parties, especially like Miss Nazir. She could make her input. You have Mr. Slow as a Home Affairs Minister. You need to get people like that want this country to move forward, like yourself. That has
all right, let me say this.
So what I'm saying, go ahead.
I understand what you're saying, but let me say that you have a clear misunderstanding of what Azudin said yesterday. When he was asked about his party membership, if I'm saying party membership or his slate, he said they're going to come from the PNC and the AFC and they're going to come from all the political parties. This is not a coalition slate you're talking about. This is a slate. No. Let me finish, man. That's why me and you
go ahead.
Wrong. You know, allow you to talk and then I respond.
Right? Let me listen.
This is a slate of disgruntled people. This is a slate, I want to call them of rejects. Either they reject the party or the party reject them. That is my understanding of how Azudin is building a slate. Right? Talking about why the coalition is out of government, to say that the people rejected the coalition. Again, I think we have lost sight of why the coalition is out of government. And it has been established, and it has been established, and it has been proven. The coalition is out of government because of regime change. Guyanese didn't vote the coalition out of government. Regime change put the coalition out of government. I rest.
All right, but I beg for differ because before they even went out and they were doing stupidness, I'm a neutral caller. I give Jackie, I call split a split, arts art. I give everybody the right. I was speaking to person concerning what they were doing, and they won't have a second chance because they're not listening to the ground roots. At any president who want to move forward and get elected over and over, they got to listen to the lowest class of people because they're the ground roots. And if people are crying out and telling you what to do and you not listening to them, what you think the people are gonna do?
Why the PPP is selling government, boss?
The PPP is telling government because at the end of the day, they're listening to ground rules. We know that allegedly they're taking, but they're letting person also have. But now people are fed up with that, and people want new government because, for instance, with this Isle deal, nobody ain't changing this idea. Put who was in president? I was making reference yesterday concerning the minister that signed that agreement, and then now he's saying he has ways of which we could renegotiate, but he's not coming out plain and telling the public, well, this is what they need to do. He already signed something, but he's waiting for get the government to call him. That's wrong. If you know you could rectify around that you did, you're supposed to come forward and deal with it right away. So at the end of the day, we Guyanese, we open now to technology, and that's the most A1 thing right now. Because if we even look at Miss Ariana's story, internationally it's getting attention because of technology. If we didn't have technology, we wouldn't have gone anywhere. So right now, we don't want any old policy with PPP did, no did. We want this country move forward, this ideal change, and if Mohammed or whoever go in, other than for me, 'cause I don't want no need a PPP in. Go in and doesn't change this here, the people speak out and get them out. Because we want betterment for the citizen, not for individual. And whoever go in to the government since his election in September, I'm advocating that whoever win sees everybody passport and start investigating all the ministers, all the officials. If they can't show where they get the asset from the 5 years to now, take it back, give it to the coffers, to the people them, and jail them for robbing the treasury ship. This is my idea and my contribution, because we want betterment. We don't have time with politics. And I agree, your party is doing a lot for opposition leader, but we gotta look at the scope. Mohammed is drawing person from both sides of the coin, and the only way that we could get change is somebody who we have that could root out person from everyone to make a betterment. And with your decision saying that people are ungrateful, like I grasped it as that they're coming out from the party. No, I wouldn't put it like that. I would put it that person was sharing the idea also, like yourself, because you were in the driving seat when that no was there. And I listened to Mr. Dr. David Dimes, and he was telling the president and the government where they were going wrong, and they didn't listen. So people are fed up with that. So give Jackie jacket, and let's vote for a change. Give somebody else a try. And if they do not fulfill it, give somebody else a try that want our country to go forward. That's my contribution. Thank you.
I always prided myself for being a good teacher because I ask simple questions in my classroom. And here's a simple question. If you got a cat outside your house that come in and steal your milk, will you take that cat into your house to watch your milk? Simple question. Carry on. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Jackie. Good morning to you viewers. I was listening to the callers then about previously. Now, first of all, you guys remember, criminal cannot stop criminal. Criminal cannot charge criminal in the first place. Now with Adriana Young's death in the first place, the PPP is complicit. They already know who did the act and they convert up all over, right? You see, I even wrote a statement before even the pathologist even bring out a statement after now. He already don't make it clear that he's finished with the autopsy. Now, secondly, within days, the US, the girl was found Monday. By yesterday, you couldn't know exactly what step to take. If the girl is flew from Guyana, all the time she was here. The police didn't bring out no statement or anything. Suddenly, social body move and go to New York, and suddenly they're paying a fraudulent or bogus statement. But we all know what's going on, right? Secondly, now people got a right. Our body live in Guyana. People can run who want to run or what the case may be. People have the right to do that. But we got to realize and we got to know they have a lot of soup drinkers, and no matter what we talk or what we say, that wherever the soup they will follow, right? So we all know and we all will see what's going on, right? When Mr. Mohammed case, well, apparently he said that he spoke to the BP and what's not, well, that's their problem. We all understand that. And it's correct because when he said that he gets support from the APU and the PPP and all of them, he right in a sense because what when the GRA was at his home, what amount of people what the description of the people who was there. You know, come on, we need to get it right. And something so sickening with me because we black people isn't getting it right at all. But last night I was on my journey passing on the Avenue Republic after 9 minutes to 10. And I see a lot of young folks I tell cleaning drain chocolate at the already night. You can imagine that? Reading carpet. This is what they could do. This all the ambition they have to do for a few pennies. Some black people need to do better than that. And there's kind of stuff that people always take advantage of them because it's so ridiculous and it's stupid anything. You know, these people so sitting and that's why they give that you and all them the power to do them and all kind of things and mess and walk call over them, you know. And if he is illegally transported to this country, he cannot come out of it. But so like the president for Sudan, he could go the same way. No president of our own country. You know, show the people right. The people have a right to vote, Joe. But you think he has this vote right and land for this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your call. Call on, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Amsterdam, and good morning to the Guyanese diaspora. My contribution is simple. I have not heard the Three Musketeers made any kind of statement in regard to the bombing and the Venezuelan that is implicated in those bombing. And I want to know, it's a vexing matter because there's a definite silence by the minister, Anil Nandelal, Baby Satan, A.K. Barajagio, and Domi Ali. We haven't heard them address it in the full context as terrorism in the country. Secondly, since the last general election and they were placed in power, I and this same media were calling for fast track to continue house-to-house registration and biometric. We are putting the horse at the back of the cart. The opposition is in free fall. I like to see the opposition come together and have a strategy to move forward in this general election. There's too many mudslinging. And let me address a young man. It was Bharat Jagyo who campaigned vigorously in the last election concerning the deal that the APNU made with our companies. But he went and doubled down and did worse. And he should be held accountable by all Guyanese. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you for your call. It is now 3 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour. I should be able to play one or two more voice notes. Please, no more calls. Let's see what these voice notes are saying.
Good morning, Kidaki. I don't agree with a caller 75%. Mr. Aubrey Norton was never ever a president for Guyana. And I waiting for see Azaruddin Mohammed win election. When he getting according to them the little scraped behind he drawing Mohammed money so he can go up on the program and talk shit. You entertain me too long. Abinadin was never ever a president for Guyana. Apnu and been there with Isle money and doing nonsense. He talking sheer fart. And I don't know why you entertaining me so long. Like if you want to vote for a Darudin or whoever the man is, like you want to vote for nobody cares. Aubrey Norton the collation all the way. He go there with passion. What you walking behind Azaruddin, Fata and the crazy boy, we name that or whatever you name. Let the boy boom out up no all the way. I waiting for see Azaruddin win. Like ENC were going with PPP when they give away money in Linden and all about and with the last election. He talking shit nonsense. Aubrey Norton all the way. Aubrey Norton.
Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. Let me just say this. You see, I'm speaking to our black people especially this morning. Let me just say this. We need to stop letting dollar sign fool us, handouts fool us, and learn to live thinking about our future, our children's future, and our grandchildren's future. Black people, stop seeing dollar sign and not your future. When you listen to most of them, they know that this man Mohammed has money. So they tell themselves they're gonna get money. But wait for it, wait for it. Our people need to use our brains, use our senses in the right place, the right way. Political business is not like what they're looking at it with. When you are running for president and when you want to be the president of a country, you have to be politically au fait of what is going on. Azwoodin has the money, he's not a political figure. If he needs to run, he needs to run with somebody at some party and make it possible. Okay?
Miss Kadaki, good morning. Good morning to you and your viewers, Miss Kadaki. Every day, if the newspaper you open, this country is sheer purgatory all around. You know, like I just disgust because we people is not doing nothing. We learning, we thinking from our mistake or nothing, you know, and that's why some of us gotta stay just how we are because why? We just go for whatever crumbs we get hand of given, and there's what we accept, and there's what we do. And the reality, that's why people will always trample upon us and do what they have to do. Right? Now, first of all, no criminal cannot investigate criminal. You have to understand that, Mr. Kadaki. And the world have to understand that. You can't put a criminal regime to investigate something that happened. What do you think is gonna happen with that? You know, and allegedly that the same incidents implicating the people from the same gangs. You understand? What do you think is gonna come out of that? Nothing will come out of that story, right? Number one, you see from the beginning, they try to cover it up. Adrian that Ali come out with a statement. He don't give out the statement before the three pathologists even give out any statement. Look, weeks since the pathologists them gone, nothing come out of it. They never make no statement. What that girl only Monday. What yesterday? A pathologist don't give out our recommendation and don't give out a statement. Now, all the time, the Guyana police force didn't give out a statement all the time. They're so silent. Since the body flew out, they suddenly resurrect. They suddenly find a statement to come up with what we all know is sham and bogus and there's a fraud. Right?
Good morning to one and all. I would like to share my view on this whole election coming up. Now, I heard one say that the opposition say, that he would not call it with the Mohammeds. I don't know if that's true. But I believe that if you say that, you should be very careful. Either he's saying that now, and at the appropriate time, probably they will call it. Because why I say that, I believe Mohammed has what it takes to win this election. The State Department of America allegedly say that the Mohammeds has whole Guyana $60 billion. I'm not too sure if the number is right. If that is the number, do you believe that he has that money? I think yes, he has that money. And also, what about the profit he made off of those gold? So you can calculate 60 by 2 or whatever number. The point I'm trying to establish is that the Mohammeds are billionaires. And the government got $14 billion $40 billion a few days ago. But that's going on US, I don't know. And some say that they're using the money for election. Not me, that's what people are saying, I don't know. But let's assume that they are using that money for election. Don't you believe that Mohammed can match $14 billion too? And so if the government gives cash grants, Mohammed can give cash grants. Government gives school voucher. Mohammed can give school voucher. All he needs to do is chowty belly and match $40 million, $40 billion, like the government. I say that to say that I believe a coalition would be a better thing for Guyanese with Mohammed. Having said all of that, my African brothers and sisters need to be careful. Listen to me carefully. You know, from a man like me who has no education, sometimes I feel sad. But when I listen to people who are very educated, go on social media and talk a bunch of trash, like those African brothers who are calling for us to give Mohammed a chance to be president, I really want to know if I really agree. But sometimes I'm glad that I don't have that quality of education because I might be talking trash on social media just so I can afford them too. I have become a millionaire without no education. So sometimes I'm glad I have, and sometimes I'm glad I don't have. My African brothers and sisters, history has proven that there is no other savior like your own people. No other ethnic group can be a savior. Your own people has to be a savior. And I'm saying to you, my African brothers and sisters, let us give the PNC a chance to handle this island money. And if they don't deliver, let us all hold them accountable. The PNC collate with WPA. I don't care about any other party. I am saying the PNC collate with the WPA. Why I said the WPA? There's a man called Dr. David Hines. If one listens to that brother and listen deeply when that brother speaks, I am saying to you, without the shadow of a doubt, that if that brother becomes a part of the government, African people are going to be in a better place. And so I am saying to you, give the PNC another first chance under this economy. And you people will see the difference of Afro-Guyanese in this country. I thank you for giving the opportunity to share my views.
Thank you for your call. Thank you for sharing your views. Thank you for supporting the program. Remember, we got Cash App, Zelle, we got Western Union, MoneyGram, we got all kinds of ways by which you can send your financial contributions. We got cameraman and technician to pay, and so on and so forth. The last voice note there was instructive in many ways. If any of you will believe that Mohammed or any private citizen will expend $14 billion of money that they already have to win an election, or to contest an election with no guarantee of winning, then something is wrong with you. And I think that's something that is wrong with us, that quote-unquote shallowness of our reasoning in many instances that land us in problems. We don't go deep enough. We gotta learn to go into the rabbit holes. If I invest in $14 billion of my money to contest an election, there gotta be some guarantee for me that I can win, number one. And the guarantee that I can win is also saying to me that when I win, I can take it back some way or other, by hook or crook. I gotta get back my $14 billion. So we gotta, we gotta sometimes be more analytical when we think about these things. Elections are won with money. That is what a lot of us say. I usually say elections are bought. And if elections are bought, then who are the biggest sports going to win? Right? Who are the biggest sports going to win? But remember, democracy is about the people. And if the people are determined that the person with the biggest purse doesn't suit what they're looking for, then they can't win. Because they got to really go there. They will go there and they will put their shoulders to the wheel and they will campaign and they will vote to ensure that money doesn't win. But a government that is truly representative of their interests can win. We have to stop looking at these things for short-term gains. A cash grant here and a cash grant there. See Mohammed competing with the government of the day to share out cash grant. Mohammed money is Mohammed money. Money that the government sharing out is we money. So I didn't see the practicality in that. But you know what? It is 10 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour. It is Friday. You know what I do on Friday. Have a good day. Blessed love. Remember, Times TV got added expenses and we're asking you to help foot the bill. I love y'all. Stay good. Bye-bye. Don't get weary, Diane Yearwood. I'm not getting weary nor fed up. I recognize what I have to do. And that is teach. And that is what all of us have to do, teach. And as a remedial educator, I know they don't get it the first time. So sometimes you got to teach the same concept 100 times. But we got to keep teaching. We can't give up. We got to hold somebody hand. See you all around.